everybody. Welcome to the Dice Tower. I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. This is Steph Hodge, who you may have seen her pictures for sure. Her pictures are all over the internet. Takes some of the best pictures of games. She also works with Board Game Geek and blogs and talks about them. And I am thinking it's possible she plays as many games, if not more, than I do.
I play a lot of games. I'm at 1,288 this year. Plays.
That's wild. This year. That's wild.
I was about to say, I could be 1288. Oh, this year. No,
this year.
Are those all distinct games? No.
No, unique games is like 550-ish. And
That's
new
really
games
impressive.
is like 350. So
That is impressive. That is a
I
lot.
don't think I'm at 550 unique. I don't think. I doff.
I play a lot of games, guys. I play a lot.
Wow.
Nice.
Well,
Nice.
I first knew about Steph because it seemed like she went to every convention on Earth. And indeed, I ran into her at conventions a lot, but also you do great pictures. And in fact, you have a calendar of sorts or something coming up,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Oh, I have it right here. Look
Sweet.
at that. You know what game that is?
Vicious Fishes.
Oceans.
Oceans. Very good.
If you played 550 games a year, Z, you would know that.
I've just been playing Vicious Fishes for the last 3 years.
Man.
Everything. If it has any kind of fish, I'm like, Vicious Fishes?
So real cool thing I could do a quick shout out because you just mentioned it, is that I have a cool Kickstarter for this awesome gaming calendar right now. It's on Kickstarter right now for another couple of weeks. So I'm excited to hopefully that gets funded.
Nice.
So the calendar is a 12-month calendar with different pictures of games in it.
Well, it's more than that. It has like a bunch of collages of my pictures. So yeah. So every month we'll have a new collage with pictures down the side, and so I try and get in like hundreds of pictures if I can.
Well, I am hoping very, very much to be able to fill that calendar up with things I'm doing next year. So
Right?
We can all hope.
Conventions. Oh my goodness. It's going to be a good year, hopefully.
I'm glad I didn't get that custom calendar this year, Z, that had all those conventions printed in it.
No.
Oh my goodness.
That would have been just heartbreaking. Another one gone. Just crossing things out. Yeah. Well,
anyway,
Steph, you play enough games that I think you would probably have a pretty good definition of what city building is. Can you please enlighten me?
Yeah. Okay, I had a big discussion with my friend about what we kind of qualify as a city building, and so we came up with like basically 2 rules. So this is the rules for my list. I know everybody's list is going to be a little bit different, right?
Here we go. Hold on.
So rule number 1: buildings have to interact by either powers or scoring.
They have to interact with other buildings?
That have to interact with each other, or in some way they have to do either a power or a scoring type of thing.
Okay.
Building. So
Okay.
because you're building, you're actually building. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
And then the second thing is a spatial element to it.
Oh, well, that one I'm good on.
Yeah.
Spatial element.
And so you're kind of like, in a sense, you're like placing buildings that will end up scoring you for something, or will give some other benefit in some way that you're.
Wait, what would be a city building game that does not do that?
Well, so here's the thing. On BGG, there's a city building tag that you can click on. And so I went there first thinking, okay, all the city builders, right? And so there's a whole bunch of games on there that don't really qualify for that under those 2 rules that I kind of made for myself.
Like
so,
7 Wonders is on there, for example.
Right.
That wouldn't qualify under those rules.
You're right. Okay.
And
Hence
so
it's on my list.
Bad categorization of Board Game Geek.
Well, I don't control that.
Oh, sorry. What I meant was.
It's just people. I could see why 7 Wonders could qualify, but it's on the line because it also could do a theme. But yeah.
Right. That's exactly it. At the end of the day, it's the difference between, is it mechanically a city building game, or what we call that, or is it thematically about building cities or a city
Well, someone has one in the comments that they mentioned Glory to Rome. That's a good one because in Glory to Rome, you do build buildings in it. You're rebuilding Rome. That's the whole point of the game. But there's no spatial element to it at all.
Right.
And so it's kind of like, yeah, Glory to Rome could, on somebody's list, be there. I mean, it could be there. It just depends on what you think, I think.
I think my list is good regardless of any rules anyone may or may not have made.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think most of my games,
you have your own rules.
most of mine follow those rules, I think, Steph. So
Okay, cool.
I think I'm good. Yeah, I think so.
I'm wondering if we're going to have any three-way crossovers.
Well, I think most people know my number one, but I won't give it away yet.
I know
yes.
your number one, and
So,
I'm pretty sure your number one would have been on the list no matter what the theme would have been. But
I agree.
I don't know. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, no, we're not going to have any three-way crossovers.
I think you might be right because I don't look at half mine. I'm like, Z does not like these. But, let's find out. Here we go.
Number 10.
My number 10 is a game that came out quite a few years ago. I haven't played it in ages, but it's one that I like quite a bit. It might strain a little, the city building part, but it is a game called Deadwood, in which you are building up a western town. You are putting out buildings. You are having railroad tracks kind of, go from one to another. And then you will, in a worker placement style, put out your little dudes, your cowboys, and take actions there. If you are occupying a building and somebody else wants it, they are allowed to come in and have a little shootout with you and take the action away from you if they win. I find I'm not generally someone who adores most city building games. It's not a genre I gravitate towards or style of game. But you combine that with a Western theme or building up like a Wild West town or something, and then I'm suddenly a lot more interested. And Deadwood is one that does that for me. The spatial element is there-ish. Where a building ends up, what you're adjacent to matters a bit. But it feels much more like a worker placement game ultimately and not as much about a city building game. That's what's my 10. But I do enjoy it. Deadwood, my number 10.
Acceptable.
I haven't actually played it, so I need to go check that one out.
Yeah, it's good. It's kind of a small design, too, so it takes like 45 minutes.
Play more games.
I need to play more.
Get on it.
I'm going to keep track of all the ones you haven't played, and then at the end we'll compare those with the numbers.
I gotta write down.
I would lose. I'm going to lose that game, Tom. Let's not do that. I bet I haven't played any on Steph's list. Here we go.
That's not true. You've played.
Here we go. I'm going to do this.
Okay, so my number 10 is 5x5 City. It is you're drafting tiles and you're placing it into your city and you're making a 5x5 city. And so all the tiles will score differently depending on the common goals that are out there. So everybody's going to score the same for each, town hall or whatever and how they're positioned on your board. So it's a light drafting city building game. I think it's Hizashi. Yeah.
Wait, is it called 5x5?
5x5 City.
Oh, I thought that was a description.
No, that's what it's called.
That's what it's called. Yeah.
Oh,
I've heard of it. I think I've seen it. I haven't played it, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. Cool.
Yeah,
how is it?
Get with it, Tom.
Spelled
5x5.
It's 5x5.
Oh, okay. Wow, I have not played this one. Okay.
I like cool Japanese games, so some of them are on my list, but not a whole lot.
All right. Well, that's -1 for me.
That'll be a crossover later for Tom. 5x5.
I was trying to think of all the city games that were 5x5. Like, which one is it? All right. My first one uses cards rather than cities. And this one got a lesser review for me, but it has grown on me some. And that is Dice City. And in fact, I'm pretty sure Z did not enjoy this game because you thought it was too slow. You rolled dice.
Was it called Card City or Dice City?
Dice City.
Dice.
You rolled dice. You place them in your city on the color and then the column it was in. And then you would activate those buildings using money and resources to buy other cards that would go into your city. I think the expansion, the first one at least, helped out a little bit and added some more flavor to it. And the cities do activate based on you building them, and I like rolling dice. I would probably say I won't play this with more than 3 because it's way too long.
Yeah.
And even 3 strains it a bit. It's a nice 2-player game. A lot. but I do like Dice City. Is this from AEG before they switched gears?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I played it. I rated a 7. It's not on my list, though.
Yeah, it's been in and out of my collection a whole bunch because, like, I want to like it more than I end up liking. So I keep like, but I in the end of the day, I would play it totally, and I don't know if it belongs in the collection, but I do enjoy it. I did enjoy it.
I think the concept's better than the game, which is weird.
Right.
I kind of agree.
And I just wish it was faster. Maybe if you had 2 sets of dice and you were going around the table, that would make it faster.
It gives me bad flashes of Machikoro, unfortunately. Like, I'm looking at it and going...
Oh, that's my number. No, it's not my number. All right. My number 10, Dice City.
Right.
Number 9.
My number 9 is my one roll and write on the list. One of the OG roll and writes. This is a game called Saint Malo.
I knew it.
Saint Malo, he has you rolling dice a couple of times and then choosing a type of face and using that to build something onto your own dry erase board. And you can put out walls, you can build up different buildings, and then also hire characters. Adjacency is very, very important in this one. You want to have specific characters next to specific buildings. You want clusters of buildings. You want to manipulate all sorts of things. And, of course, everything you add onto your board is a spot where you can no longer put something else that would have been really beneficial in that spot. It's a little slower paced, a little bit like Dice City. It's one I tend to play with lower player counts. On your turn, nobody else is really doing anything. So if you're waiting for that, it's not ideal. Most roll and writes now have one person rolling and everybody doing something with that roll. This one does not do that. But I like it a lot. It's one of my favorite games from the brands, Inca and Marcus Brand. So there you go. That is Saint Malo.
They did that. They are such an unsung couple of designers. They have the widest range of anyone, maybe other than Cavato, of making games. Maybe even
do
bigger than
all
him.
Sorts of stuff, all sorts of amazing things. Yeah, they're all over. So yeah, I like it a lot. Saint Malo, number 9.
Nice, I like it. My number 9 is Carson City, the card game. This game, everybody has a same hand of 9 cards, and you're going to be simultaneously playing these cards. In order to try and get the card, there's a lineup of cards that you're going to try and claim one that you want that have all these different buildings, and you're going to place it into your tableau. So you're actually taking this card and putting it into your tableau into like a city that you're building. Carson City. And so you're trying to build up your city over 2 rounds and trying to score all these points for the buildings, and it's really fun. I like simultaneous play when everybody's choosing like from the same set of things. I think that mechanic is always fun for me. So
I never played this because Z stole it.
Yeah, I played it. I reviewed it. I gotta say, I don't remember a lot of it, but that's not surprising. I do remember, however, that it scales really strangely. There's like one number player count that is flawless, like nothing bizarre. And then for literally every other player count, you have to like adjust how many cards are in like a dead pile or something.
Okay, I don't remember that. I think I've probably only played it with 5, and it seems to work really great with 5. So maybe that is the ideal number. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's got a weird scaling concept to it, but I like it. I like it more than the board game myself.
Yeah, I like it more than the board game as well.
Sure. Sounds good. Carson City, the card game. I'll have to find that one and play it at some point to see if it is better than the board game.
Just take our word for it.
I take your word for nothing. My number 9 is designed by the same guy who did all the Valeria games, or most of the Valeria games, and that is Sunrise City. Now, this is a oft-forgot game because it was Clever Mojo's first game after Alien Frontiers, and it wasn't Alien Frontiers. Everyone was like, but Sunrise City, which has the thickest tiles of any game ever made.
It's true.
Which would actually work for the game because it makes, they're still pretty small buildings, but you're building on top of each other. The Sunrise City, I liked it a lot. You're building different zones in the city. What makes it stand out is it has a unique scoring system that I've never seen anywhere else, where you have to try to score the right number of points so you can almost jump ahead by 10 points. It's hard to explain. You have to go look at the rules and the reviews to see how it works. But I really liked it. I actually never played the expansion, but I heard it's really good. I think it's called Dark City or something like that. Or maybe that's a movie.
Dark City is the expansion of Citadels.
I'm sorry, it's called Sunrise City Nights with an exclamation point.
Yes, that's
right. And you know if there's an exclamation point, it's probably good. But there's only 29 rankings of that expansion, which is weird.
I agree with this game.
I think it was really hard to find for a while. So
this is probably honestly my 11, Tom. Looking at the pictures now, also I looked it up. Yeah, it's bringing back all sorts of memories. But you're right that it just doesn't. It doesn't necessarily make that sort of impression that sticks around in your head. You know what I mean? I'm surprised this isn't something that's been picked up to be reprinted.
I wonder. Well, it depends who has the rights to it. I don't know. Like, does Starling Games have the rights to it with your Game Salute, or did it go with the guys when they took their games, or maybe they'll re-release it at some point. Who knows? But I wonder if they're hesitant because, again, I don't think it's sold tremendously well. It might have been a high price point too.
Yeah, and probably producing this thick cardboard today would be prohibitively expensive, probably.
Yeah, that's true. Well, anyway, my number 9, Sunrise City.
Number 8.
My number 8 is Carcassonne, the city. So you cannot question me. The city.
I wasn't going to question you.
Carcassonne the City is much like Carcassonne. You are putting down tiles. You're building the board as you play them out. This one has, well, it's not the countryside that you are building, but markets and stalls and that sort of thing. And then also the wall around the outside of the city, which makes this one very visually striking. As you are, I think, a third of the way in to the game, then you start building the wall around the outside, capping off where the growth could go, and then eventually you'll circle the entire thing and score your final score. I like the way this one looks. It does break that very Carcassonnian concept of everything must match. This is one of the ones that breaks that. So if you're used to playing normal Carcassonne, your brain's going to be doing loop-de-loops, looking around going, it's all placed wrong, you know. But it works well. Good scoring, interesting. One of the better Carcassonne games. Carcassonne the City, my number, where are we at? 8.
Yeah, I think that's probably my favorite Carcassonne too. I really, really like that you're building those walls. So that is a really cool aspect to that game. So really cool.
I think so. Carcassonne Hunters and Gatherers came out in 2002. The reprint's coming out this year. That's 18 years later. Wow. So Carcassonne the City came out in 2004. So just wait a couple years.
I was going to cover it a couple years.
You got it back. You got it back.
My number 8 is probably very familiar to many of you. Glass Road. Uwe Rosenberg. I had to, get an Uwe game in there. So you're basically, you have a hand of cards and you're going to pick the actions that you want to try and play for the round. And so I love this aspect of the game, which is like really thinky because you have 5 cards, but you're only going to get to play 3 of them, and you're going to try and match other people. So you're like, oh, I think he's going to go for that card, so you're going to play that. But it's all to get these buildings so you can build up your little city and produce resources and get these different, you get your resources so you can buy the buildings. And so it's I really love it. I think it's very clean and great Uwe game.
I've always wondered if you would. I wonder that you might like this one better, Z, because it's more streamlined than his other more grandiose games, which is actually the reason I don't think I like it as much. I want the bigger, oomph feeling of a game, and Glass Road seems a little bit too streamlined. I never thought of this as a city building game. I mean, I guess it technically is. And it definitely follows the rules, and I can't argue with anything Steph says. So, yes, excellent choice.
Excellent.
My number 8 is one of the weaker themed ones on my list. even though it looks like it's one of the most thematic, and that is Welcome to Centerville. Now, this is a game from Chad Jensen, who just recently passed away, and he made a much bigger city building game called Urban Sprawl, which I hated with a passion. Welcome to Centerville. I liked it a lot more. You're trying to control these different areas of the city as it's kind of growing, and you're placing different spots in the city. And I don't know, it had like a little bit of a charm to it. I found it very enjoyable. I think GMT could have done a little bit better on the production of it, and I doubt it will ever be reprinted. It's a unique, interesting game that I really liked. It's kind of a quirky pick of all the ones on my list. This is one I don't expect. I expect half the people who are watching this to not even know what I'm talking about. But I liked it. Well, no,
I liked it, and I have it in the collection. It's on the shelf of I need to play again to see if I keep it or not. So it's like on that line. Like I need to play it again.
The problem is it's made by GMT, and GMT makes these big, heavy war games and sometimes big, heavy other type of games. This doesn't fit in that category at all, but it's also not light. It's just this weird thing. And the cover makes it look like it's, woohoo, welcome to Centerville, flowers and rainbows. No, it's tight area control, stab the other guy, steal all their points game.
I know, the cover's misleading. That's true.
So welcome to Centerville, my number 8.
Number 7.
My number 7 is probably my biggest stretch, I think, and that is Blue Moon City. It's my number 7. It technically does follow all the rules that Steph had at the beginning. The buildings do have special abilities when they are completed, and they give those special abilities to their neighbors. So the spatial,
yeah, that counts.
Is part of it.
I retract my laugh. It's a fine choice.
It's an okay choice. I think it's a great game. It's this high up because it fits a little bit in an ill way on this list. It's a spatial game in many ways. You are moving around. You are discarding cards. You are helping build these buildings, but there is that sort of collective building of a building. We quote unquote cooperate on that. I want to add more to the building than you, though, because I walk away with a bigger bonus. Or maybe not. Maybe you do like 80% of the work. I come in and barely help, but I get almost as much as you did.
I love it.
Which is another very, very strong tactic in the game. I enjoy it. I like that as the game develops, as some of those buildings do get completed and flipped over, building around that completed building is more beneficial. So the players sort of find their place along, in the board. If you go off in a corner and try to do everything yourself, you're doing way more legwork than you should be for the benefit. It's a subtle game at the end of the day. It's one of Knizia's, I think, more subtle games, but it's enjoyable. It's engaging. It's interesting. It's a game that uses the theme of Blue Moon in a completely different game. They have really nothing to do with one another. And it's one I find myself still teaching. Well, when we had conventions, I would
upon a time.
I would often find myself pulling this off of a shelf and teaching it to people and having a great time.
I can actually see this on the shelf behind you there. It looks like you have the original version rather than the reprinted.
I do.
One from Vermont.
Right. I have the FFG printing because I think it's a lot better. I reviewed actually the new one, at least did a comparison, and I said as much. The old one's better. The new one's not as attractive, but available, ideally. So.
Oh, that's true.
There you go. That's my number 7, Blue Moon City.
My number 7 is Quadraopolis. This is where you are placing like your little like token that says 1, 2, 3, or 4, and you have to go that many spaces inward, and it's a board. So you can put it anywhere around the board. And you're gonna place a city tile, or you're gonna grab that city tile and put it on your board. And so you're building up your different types of residents, and you're going to get some harbors and factories and all these things. So this is probably a familiar game to many. Days of Wonder, people know, and it's fun. I just really like it.
I feel like that was a good choice and good placement. My number 7, also Quadraopolis.
What?
Which
you missed out.
No, he did not miss out. It's like right over his shoulder there. It's going to be much higher on his list. You watch.
I watch.
You can't quick throw it out of the way. Spoilers. Anyhow, Quadraopolis, I will say, of all the games on this list, this one, the only thing I waffle on it is it's really easy to forget the theme exists. As I'm just building the buildings. I get that you're building buildings next to parks and things, but I love this game because the mechanics are so strong. There's no other game that feels like this. As you control around the outside of the board, it's very interactive. I'm sitting there tense the whole time that you're going to go to that spot I want. And I also this is one of the few games where I would have a hard time telling you if I would prefer playing the family or the advanced. I'll gladly play either.
Yes, agreed.
So, hey, a crossover on the same number. That does not happen much anymore.
Nice.
Yeah.
Quadraopolis.
Number 6.
My number 6 used to be a game called Attica, but I'm talking about the reprint here, U.S. Telegraph, in which you are going to be building onto the same space, onto the same board, unlike Quadraopolis, and you are the where you place your buildings is very important because you'll get important and game-defining discounts if you play them in the correct placement, in the correct order, or just utilizing the resources available in the land underneath where you place those tiles. It's a light game. I always compare it to sort of a Ticket to Ride style game. They came out around the same time also. But I enjoy it. It's sort of, for me, in my head, it's the, Ticket to Ride is the kind of rummy version of this game. This one is grouping instead of like lines. You want those buildings to be grouped up. You want to cut off people from reaching specific locations across the map.
Fairly cutthroat.
It is a cutthroat game, yeah.
And the
reprint, I think they did a lovely job with the reprint. They fixed the theme changed, whatever. I liked both. The components now do a better job of facilitating good play. Before there were a few things that were kind of.
What did they replace the carrots with?
They used to be amphoras, right?
They're carrots. No one calls them amphoras.
They replaced those with, I don't remember, Tom. Little workers, maybe.
Doesn't play his own games enough to know.
I didn't play the original Attica, but I did play U.S. Telegraph, so I don't know what they replaced.
So it's a good one. I like it a lot. I think it's a great 3-player game, especially. There we go. That is my number 6, U.S. Telegraph.
Oh, the list was going so well. All right.
Wow, you don't like that one, Tom?
Yeah.
He hated it, he said.
I really do hate it.
Oh, you do hate that game?
I hate it because that one rule makes me hate the game so very much.
Which one? What rule?
The whole, I'm not going to block Z. So, Steph, it's your job to block Z. And then she can't block you, and then you win. And then I'm like, wow, what the...
Well, so I only played a 2-player, so you don't really have that issue in a 2-player game. But yeah.
That's true. I also thought it was boring. But
well, okay. That's a different problem. Okay.
That's crazy. It's like not any more boring than a Ticket to Ride, and you love that.
Don't even compare those, you cretin.
Oh, my goodness. My number 6 is...
Much better choice.
A much better choice.
Hang on, I got to wait till you say it first.
Warsaw, City of Ruin, or the new version is Capital from North.
Well, switch those. Capital was the original. Warsaw is the new one, yeah.
Oh, yeah, other way.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they didn't change anything. They just changed the name.
Right.
So yeah, you're right. But I love this. It's essentially 7 Wonders, but you are actually placing tiles in an arrangement where things matter, and your city's gonna like blow up, and like all these things are happening. And but yeah, you're passing tiles, you're drafting tiles. You can discard a tile for 3 coins. A lot of similar mechanics are happening as you would find in 7 Wonders. So it has a lot of things that I love, and it's well deserving on my list.
Nice.
This was probably my number 11. I really considered this one. My only concern with this one is I just wish it was prettier. Now, you could argue that maybe that fits the theme better, that it's not pretty. I don't know how to explain it. I just wish it looked a little nicer.
It's very functional.
It's
How
functional.
does that? Yeah, but it's a good one. The name is hard to get people to want to play now, too. Hey, you want to play Warsaw? City of Ruins? Like, well, and we're actually building it up, so there's that.
Yeah.
My number 6 is a crossover with Mr. Garcia, and that would be Carcassonne The City for the same reasons. I mean, you're literally building a city. It's my favorite version of Carcassonne anyway. The 3-dimensional city walls help a lot. This is one I really wish they would bring back in print. I think it's an easy one to teach people. It's my current Carcassonne to teach people with, if only because my regular Carcassonne is so insanely expansionified that I can't use it.
Right.
Like, here, every time we turn over a tile, I'm going to pull out a different rule book.
What is this?
Yeah, that's
Hang on,
true.
it's the bridge rule book.
Yeah, I think this one's kind of like a tricky one, actually, to use to teach. Because you have to switch up the rules twice in game. Like, now we start adding walls.
Sure, but then I just explain them when they happen.
Okay, yeah.
So,
that's one way to teach games if you want to be a jerk, I guess.
I'd probably play the Star Wars Carcassonne the most.
That's the most thematic of all.
City building. Mind, dude.
City building is in. That one is very much about city building.
Alrighty, so Carcassonne City, my number 6.
Nice.
Number 5.
My number 5 is a crossover with Steph.
Yes.
And this is my number 5, Warsaw City of Ruins.
I knew you were going to like this game a lot.
Absolutely. It's a great game. And, you're right. It's Seven Wonders, the tile game or whatever, right? It's exactly what it is. I don't mind the look. Tom's right. Yes, it's not pretty. But it is functional. Everything's easy to read. It's one I don't have to... Like, I'll give you an example, which isn't really related to... Well, maybe it is city building. Somebody might have it on their list. But anyway, Bunny Kingdom is a game that I find visually is a mess. It's so hard to, see the districts in Bunny Kingdom for me.
I mean, I get that.
Warsaw City of Ruins is so straightforward. Like, I never have any questions about what I'm looking at on the board.
This is true.
And the game is enjoyable. It's quick. It's punchy. It's the theme's not exciting, but the game keeps bringing me back. So, yeah, I like it a lot. I don't know about that rename. Capital was all kind of a boring name, but Warsaw City of Ruins.
Yeah.
Anyway, I like it. It's my number 5.
Yeah. Nice. My number 5 is King of Frontier, which also got later rethemed and kind of changed the rules a little bit for a Queen game called Skylands. But I like the original King of Frontier, where you are basically just taking actions to grab tiles, but every action you do will help other people as well. So you want to watch what you're doing, or if you can build something and nobody else can, maybe you choose to build at that time or produce at that time. So you're trying to build up your little city and have the connections. Like in Carcassonne, you're trying to match the cities and the farms and stuff like that. So and every tile will score differently. So it's clever.
Did they change any rules from the original game to Skylands?
So I think they did change 1 or 2 rules, but they added in different building tiles in the mix and stuff. So there's a few changes, and obviously a huge art decoration, just they outburst.
Well, they just went and watched the movie Avatar.
Yeah.
Just for the cover, though, I'm looking at the rest of it, and it looks like
my problem with Skylands is I wanted to like it more than I did. I felt like some of the actions were used way more than others, and the building tiles, because there were so many different types, I was constantly finding myself in a position where that tile's never going to show up. You know how that happens in Carcassonne every once in a while, you get this weird spot. This happens in Skylands a lot.
Yeah.
And I was I didn't really care for it that much for that reason. But that's why I'm asking.
It's a big production that they did. The actual King of Frontier game is like plays in 20 minutes, and you're just gonna. It's a very small box, which is nice. So
I think I like that theme better than the Skylands theme.
yeah, I mean it's a little dude. It's I have it. Oh, if I don't know, I think there was a picture that was shown, but it has little drawings and like Japanese. And I have a thing for like Japanese kind of art, and they're all interesting and always fun to play because you never know what you're gonna get in like a Japanese game.
That is the truth of it.
Yeah, I never played this one. I've seen that cover. I really didn't even know what it was, but I like the look of this. This one has me intrigued. I would want to give it a try. I like the way this looks.
Well, if you want Skylands, you can find that for a song right now. That's a very inexpensive game.
Well, Queen games are like weird. So like either Queen games are like really expensive, or you can find them because they overproduce too many. But it's like
right.
I definitely recommend checking out Skylands, and if you like that, you can look for the harder to find King of Frontier if you like that look better. But they're essentially what you're doing is going to be essentially the same.
All right.
Well, I'm going to walk back my comments about that Warsaw might not be the most pretty of games.
Here we go.
Because of the cover of the box of my next game, and that's Lords of Vegas, which is a incredibly fun game, but it does not look pretty.
It's not just the cover, Tom. The rest of the game also doesn't look very good.
I'm not arguing that point, but it's still a really fun game. Then you better
shut your mouth about Warsaw.
Why
are you poking the bear when you know the bear is going to poke you back at number 5?
That's Russia, not Warsaw. But the thing about this is I'm actually really disappointed that they just kickstarted this and remade it and didn't take that opportunity
to switch art.
A prettier game, unless you buy that ridiculous briefcase of Doom, whatever, a $500 version or whatever.
Did they reprint, or did they just like find a warehouse that had a bunch in it? I don't know.
I don't know. Well, if they had that, then shouldn't it be shipped by now?
Anyhow, I have no idea.
In this game, you're building up the city of Vegas. You're building casinos in the city of Vegas, and then you are attaching those casinos to other people's and trying to take them over. It's a pretty vicious, mean game. Has a scoring system I like, where you have to get a certain number of points to jump up to the next level. Mm-hmm. It's a nice catch-up mechanism that doesn't feel that strong. And it also has the thing in Acquire I like, where you might be looking for a specific card, but don't get too caught up in that because it may never show up, or it will show up very late in the game. So I like
Lords of Vegas
a lot.
Yeah, it's a great game. Everybody should play it.
You said about every game. We can't all play all the games, but yes, you should all play it.
Yes, you agree with me, because games.
Number 4.
My number 4, I'm curious what you guys will think, if this is a valid choice or not. There's a spatial element to it, a little bit. It's Alhambra, or Alhambra.
I thought about it myself, actually. So,
the spatial element isn't really a big part of it. It's really because of the wall. It is, right? I mean, the wall makes it.
Correct.
But this game is almost identical to the original card game. And all they did when they reprinted it as back in like the early 2000s as a tile game was add walls to some of them. That's it. I guess that gives it a spatial element to it. Irrespective of that, I like the game a lot. It's one of my favorites, and it is. There's a ton of expansions to it too, which definitely will increase that feeling of it, feeling like a more in-depth city building game. Oh, now you have people traveling through the city. Oh, now you're building encampments outside of the city. That sort of thing will enhance that feel. But I think it's a great game. It's quick, enjoyable, a bit of a classic for me. It's one of my go-to games if I'm teaching someone something and they don't really play this kind of game. I'll bring out Alhambra, and usually it goes over well. Most people understand that you get money and then spend money for stuff. That's a nice, easy concept to grasp. So I like it a lot. That's my number 4, Alhambra.
Well, you might argue also that some of those little modules have a real strong emphasis on the city building, even more so.
Right, yeah.
Also, there's a version called New York.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they have one called Granada, right? I think that's the same game, or maybe slightly different, but basically based on the same thing. Yeah.
I haven't played with any of the little mini expansions, but do you have to pull the rule book out for each one like Tom does with Carcassonne?
Well, you don't. Unlike Carcassonne, I wouldn't mix them all in. You just grab one, look up the rules for that. They're like little bits.
Oh, okay, I haven't played with those.
I'd throw in like 2 or 3 at most, and then play with that. But since they're not all tiles, they're not all shuffled in. Yeah.
Right. Some of them, there's one with coins that I will almost always play with. I really like the coins, or diamonds. There's just some very minor things, but there's 25 of them now, or there's a lot of them.
Oh, there's more than that. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I have to look at that. I've definitely played the game, but I haven't played with all the little stuff.
Well, if you play with all of them, you can count it as 25 more games you've played.
Oh, no, I don't count my expansions as new games. Come on. Come on.
One play logged 25 times.
No. Let's see. So my number 4 is Suburbia, which I think it would be a shame if this wasn't on anybody's list, because I think it's like one of the best city building games. Obviously, it's my number 4, and you have to pay for tiles that are in a lineup, or you could, just take a cheapy one at the beginning, and then you're going to add it to your tableau, and everything is retroactively scoring as you place things down. And I think it's so great. And I play this game so much that I have to help everybody else at the table with, what they're doing, like calculating their scores and everything.
Do you have the super duper deluxe version?
Oh, I don't have that. I've been trying. I'm like, okay, do I want? I mean, I have like a billion games that don't get played enough as it is. But I've been thinking about it.
I'm just trying to find somebody who's played the super duper deluxe version. We put it in the Dice Tower library, and no one ever pulls it out. So
intimidating, right? Yeah.
It is. It's a cube.
It's awesome.
Right. All right, nice. This is actually one of my city building blind spots. I've never played it. But like I said, I'm not a big city building person at the end of the day.
I suspect you wouldn't like it. You're not a fan of castles.
That's why I suspect I haven't played it. Yeah. Again, I don't really normally like this style of game. These that I'm talking about are kind of it. Okay. A lot of the sort of classics in the genre, like Suburbia, I would say is a classic in this style of game. I just haven't played.
That's fair. If you don't like castles, you might not like this, but there's a different reason for people not liking Castles of Mad King Ludwig, because of the auctioning type mechanic, which I absolutely love that. So I don't know if you're didn't like the tile placement part of that game, or if you didn't like the auction type of part.
The auction is definitely what I didn't like. It made my
I love that. So
freeze up. Yeah.
There isn't that here, so you're not going to have that auction mechanic in Suburbia. So it might be worth checking out.
Oh, it's me.
Yes.
Number 4, the oldest game on my list, probably, but the most physically that looks like a city, and that's Manhattan. You're actually building 9 cities in this game. As you place, is it 9 or 6?
I think it's 9, isn't it? I'm pretty sure it's 9.
Manhattan?
Don't be
what you're talking about. I'm going to have to go look, because I don't think this...
It's
6. All right.
6. Okay. It's been a while since I played, but
I don't know if I would call this a city building game.
You are literally building buildings in a city.
How you are. No, I know. Thematically, you're right. I don't know if I would call it a city building mechanically, a city building game.
Right.
Oh, I see what you're saying, because you're technically doing area control in a city by building buildings in that city. I'm counting it. City building game. If someone said, Tom, bring a city game, and I brought this, I don't think many people would be like, not what I wanted.
Steph Hodge would be like, get out.
Bye-bye.
Manhattan, classic game, won the Spiel des Jahres, and the new version is bright as all get out for no reason at all. I like Manhattan. I just thought it was weird that they decided to in this picture that you see here, they're actually clear, translucent colors in the new version. I think I probably like the original version a little better, but hey, you get what you get, and this is what's available right now. Also play with the Godzilla variant. Really fun.
What? Seriously?
Yeah, you play with it. Every time you play a card, you put this little monster out, and every time you play a card, where the building is on the card also determines the movement of the monster. And when he hits a building, he smashes the top piece of that building off. And it works really well because it gives you some spatial... and you're playing a card to put a building out and to move the monster. I really like it.
City building. Cool.
Well, that in that case, also city destruction. Manhattan, my number 4.
Nice.
Number 3.
My number 3 is one of the newer games on my list, and this is Glenmore 2 Chronicles. Or Glenmore would have been fine. Honestly, it's the same. They're very similar, but I'm choosing to put the one on here you might be able to find. Glenmore 2 is uses that mechanism of move as far ahead as you want, which a good amount of games have done. This one is sort of cyclical, though. You're moving in a circle as far ahead as you want, but eventually you cycle back in on where you were. And so you'll jump ahead, grab a tile, place that tile, and what's next to where you placed it is going to be supremely important. Actually, there's a lot of limitations to where you can place that tile. You have to have a character standing next to where you place. You're going to score based on all sorts of, adjacencies and proximities. And in a very interesting concept, which I've honestly never seen another game do, you don't necessarily want sort of a wasteful, sprawling, development. You want to do as much as you possibly can with as few tiles as possible. If you have a bunch of stuff that didn't really net you any points, you actually lose points for that, for having too many things out there. So I enjoy it. Now, the new one, Chronicles, has a metric ton of expansions in it. Haven't played them all, but they're neat. They're going to mix up what's going on in the game, so you can choose to add those in or remove them. I always liked Glenmore back in the day when I played it, and I think the new one is a good spiritual successor to that. It's nice to have it back.
So
that's
I
my number
haven't played
3.
it. I haven't played it. I want to know a little bit more. So, is it like the old one? Because I played the old one and I really didn't like it so much. So I don't know if I should
like
play.
The old one, I don't think you'll like the new one. They did add. It's think of it as like a 1.5 version. It's not really a sequel. I would say they've added this whole secondary board in which you are going to be moving pieces and acquiring special characters that mix up what you do. But the central core of the game is the same. Moving in that circle as far as you want ahead, taking a tile, placing it in your city. If you did not like that, I don't think you'll like the new one either.
And I have this problem of like spending way too much and then having to wait a million turns or something for my turns.
Yeah.
So I'm not good at managing that very well.
Yeah. I like it a lot, though. I think it's a good.
I didn't even consider this one. I didn't think of it.
I didn't think of Manhattan either, but that's because it's not a city building game.
I'd argue that. Oh, really? You're going to go there? Tell me the name of the city you build in this one.
It's called Glen.
It's not a city.
You build more and more of it.
I get my number 3 is Keeper, which the key games have a lot of different mechanics going around in their games, and they're all fairly complicated with the ideas that are going on. But Keeper is awesome because there's the like folding boards. I don't know if you guys like Keeper, but I actually really like it.
Okay.
Yeah, you're placing your meeples down. You're collecting resources. You might grab a tile and put it on your board that will help you score or open up opportunities for other meeples to go. And the way that you don't have meeples that belong to you, which I always think is like the most interesting aspect of this game, because like when do you claim a board for meeples for your next round, or do you hold out? Hopefully more people will add to that tile. And so there's like the whole like mind game of what do you think people are going to do and how can you best optimize from it?
Yeah, the main thing for this game was the gimmick at the beginning, which is like flip your board around.
Yeah, it's not a big mechanic of the game, so
it really isn't. But I wanted to like it more than I did in that case because I was like, ooh, and after a while you're like, oh, there's just 4 positions that it can be in.
Yeah, depending on the season that you're doing, yeah.
Right, but I would still keep flipping it, hoping to
find something else.
Hoping to find like, come on, there's got to be one in here somewhere.
Yeah. So that was my number 3.
My number 3 is a board game called Carson City, which is an amazing board game. I knew this
was going to be on your list. It had to be.
I love Carson City because I feel like the buildings in it are very thematic. there's a bank that's there that provides you a lot of money, but then it can be robbed by other players. There's one big city that you're all building different parts of, and it comes together. It's a really strong in-your-face game. I didn't realize how in-your-face till we did that one live play with Rado that one time.
A mean game. There's no denying it. Yeah.
And that's what I found out. He does not like mean games. But I enjoy this one, I think, as much for the city building aspect as for the Wild Wild West aspect of it. I wish there was more city building games that have to do with Wild West. I mean, there was just one came out, Carson City, which is also a city building game. But I like this one more because of the tiles. You see the city grow. Carson City is a bunch of cards that go around the outside of a board. But yeah, I'm saying Carson City.
Are you confusing Carson City with something else?
Nevada.
Okay.
Right, sorry. Nevada City just came out, and it's similar. Yes, you're right. Carson City is very similar to Carson City.
Yeah, I was like, is he talking about
the card what is going on? He must have misspoke. Okay. I agree. So, like I said earlier, I think if it's Western, if it's a city building game, I want it to be instead of the Old West. I just do. It's my favorite setting for that kind of thing.
My favorite setting is actually, I think, modern, but so few games do modern. The one I would have picked is out for one reason, but I'm waiting to see if it's on someone else's list. So, my number 3,
I might know
City.
what it is. Okay, cool.
I like it.
Number 2.
Another crossover with Steph at number 2 for me was her number 7. That is Quadraopolis.
It was also a crossover with me. Come on, what is that?
No, I crossed over with Steph. It was her number 7, Quadraopolis. I don't believe Tom has mentioned it. Certainly not also at number 7. No, you guys are right. I mean, it's for me, it's the bright sort of welcoming nature of the whole thing. It's the one city building game that really, really, really is about that whole, you want this building to be next to this building, but not be next to this building, which is, I think, integral to what city building is all about. Like, that's the first thing I think of when I think of city building. Actual buildings that want to be next to or not next to other buildings. Quadraopolis is that through and through. And it's the one instance of that I've found, well, my number 1 is the other one. That is absolutely...
I thought this was your number 1.
No, it's my 2, but the number 1 is a similar thing. This is the one where all that spatial stuff does not bother me. Normally, I find that those kinds of rules convoluted. Just like, oh, okay, I got to put it here. Oh, no, wait, I can't be next to that. I'll put it over here. I find that stuff draining. I don't in this one.
It has great player aids. That might be why.
Maybe, yeah. It's a breezy game. I like that there's four rounds that are self-contained in many ways. So the very first round is less punishing, is what I mean. And then by the time you've warmed up to it, you're in the 4th round, and now you're really like, oh, where do I put this? But you've played most of the game, so you're kind of juiced up for it. I like it a lot. I think it's a great game. Quadraopolis is fantastic, and I guess I was wrong about the 3-way crossover. There it is.
Yeah.
We all had it.
Should have known.
My number 2 is probably lesser known by many people, but I love it. It's called Cities. And Cities is a multiplayer solitaire type of game where everybody has the same tiles, and a tile will be revealed, and then everybody will go find their tile and place it in their city. You're going to end up with a 4x4 city in the end, and you're going to score for the different terrains. There's 4 types of terrains, and so you're just trying to best place these tiles. You won't see all the tiles, so you can't pre-plan. You can kind of plan because you kind of know what tiles are in your stack, but the tile that you want won't come out. That's how it goes. Very, very light, quick filler, but it's held its position at 10 out of 10 for me for years, and I can't get enough out of it. I love this game.
Really?
This game is a terrible cover.
It's terrible cover. It's not even a great tile looking game, but it's so good.
I've got here, I'm looking at it up there, the Leams printing of it.
It's similar but different enough where I didn't like that one better, and I certainly like the tiles in this game better than, even though the look of limes or limes or whatever.
Limes? There's no limes in the game?
There's no
No,
limes.
it's called limes.
Limes.
It's just, but you would say in English, you'd look at it and go limes, but there's no limes.
Very disappointing.
Very disappointing.
Limes.
But
you can't name it that.
Cities all the way.
All right, cool. Wow, I wasn't expecting this one to show up, especially this high.
Oh, it's perfect. Everything. I would always play this at any time. You put it on the table. I'm like, yes, I'm there.
Wow. All right.
So I made this list without looking at my list, what we did last time. And when I put them together, it's pretty close to almost the same thing across the board.
Okay.
Except this one is the newest one and the smallest one and the one I want to play with the fewest other people. And that is Sprawlopolis.
Yeah,
Nice,
I knew it.
I shouldn't like solitaire games that much, but man, and I'm really excited because now there's a sequel to it out on Kickstarter.
Yeah,
it's Quadraopolis, and there's a way to combine them, which makes me happy to get around that stupid 18-card rule. I don't know what I mean. This is a city building game. You are literally taking 15 cards and building a city according to 3 rules that are on 3 of the other city cards. The reason I like it as solitaire is because it is essentially a solitaire game anyway. Even if you play with multiple players, one person's just going to tell you where to put all the cards. So you might as well just not play with that person and do it yourself.
Right.
It's a puzzle. I've played this a lot. If I counted my plays of this, I could surpass Steph's 500 maybe. But
1,200.
I played a lot of games. Okay, but I really like Sprawlopolis. It's portable. Although I also really like the new box Quinn had put it in. Just this little tiny box. But there's
a boxed version of this? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Quinn had printed this one and I think Circle the Wagons. I want to say.
Okay, and boxed versions, not just.
Yeah, but they're really little. They're tiny little boxes that are just nice. But yeah, Sprawlopolis is just fantastic. So my number 2.
Nice.
Excellent. I like it.
And finally, number 1.
I cannot for the life of me figure out your number 1.
Well, I feel pretty good because I know both of your number 1s at this point.
Oh. Well, everybody knows my number 1. It's no surprise. I've been shouting it for the years.
You might not know it, but I know Tom's number 1. Pretty sure, unless for some reason he pulls a fast one, but I know what it is. You don't know what mine is, Tom?
Well, let me think here. City building. See, I thought it was Quadraopolis. That's the thing.
Well, it combines 2 things I like that I mentioned. Okay, the whole Quadraopolis adjacency with buildings with powers, and the Old West. Love the Old West.
So what city building game is there in the old? It's not Carson City.
It is not.
What?
I like it much better than that.
It's not the bathroom game from Klaus Teuber.
No. Come on.
That's a city building game. Well, give me a hint. When was it designed?
I just literally gave you 2 of the words in the title. That's enough of a hint.
I
don't know. I don't remember.
Tell us.
It's called Old West Empresario.
Oh, right.
Oh,
you just
of course.
stole this from the library.
No,
Nice.
I bought this. I got a copy of it from.
I added this to the library myself. Never mind.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I bought a copy after I reviewed it actually and took it back to work. I got a copy. I liked it that much. I went online, found myself a copy, and bought it. And I really like it. It's tile drafting. You are going to be you roll a bunch of dice and then use those dice to take tiles, to draft the tiles, or you use the dice to activate tiles you already have in your city, which I really like. So it's buildings with special abilities. The adjacency definitely matters, but you can either build up a big city and score points that way, or just get a really good combo going where, for example, one game I played, there were a few buildings I ended up with that all would trigger on a 4. So for me to draft a 4, well, way better than to actually take a new building with that 4. And I would just boom, 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 trigger a few things, get a bunch of, special abilities, get coins, whatever. I really enjoy it. I love the way it works out. I like the theme. I like that it's breezy. I like that it is not just about the spatial, construction of the city, but drafting that stuff as well. I think it's great. It's in the same sort of family, if you would, as the other Western game from what's the name of that one with the hard work that was clearly Kickstarter backers?
It's the one where they go out west, right? Roll wagons or something like that.
Yeah, gosh, what's it called? Now I can't remember. It's from Tasty Minstrel.
Pioneer Days.
Yeah, Pioneer Days. Yeah. It's in the same kind of world as Pioneer Days. The covers actually look similar, but I like this one way better. And I liked Pioneer Days already. I like this one way better. Yeah. So that's Old West Empresario.
Actually, I think I like Pioneer Days better, but I like them both. They're both.
I do like them both.
They feel like they're in the same series in a sense.
Yeah. Different games, but sort of same family.
Yeah.
So you like the combos in it, you said, huh? All right. Steph, what's your number one?
Oh, I mean, everybody can tell me what my number one is.
Not everyone here knows.
It is Gigopolis, of course.
No one can afford this game right now. It's so expensive.
It's coming back. There's a reprint coming this year. Did you know?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
You must have known. Everybody. So now everybody can go play and buy Gigopolis, and they don't have to ask me where to get it, because I get that question every week. Where can I get Gigopolis?
But if I wanted to buy one now before the reprint's out, where would I get it?
I got nothing.
eBay for it. I went to go put it in the library, mostly because I knew Steph liked it, and I saw the prices and I was like, not that good.
It's really out of print.
It is that good back. For what it's worth. It is that good.
Well, here's my thing though. I think the game is fine, but I feel like there's no theme in it at all. Like no theme.
Who needs theme?
Well, I'm just. Obviously, that was not one of the two rules here on the list.
That's a third unspoken rule. Theme optional.
It's true. This game won't be for everybody, maybe for that reason, or for the terribly cutthroat reason of building up the city with everybody else. So there are some, turns where you might just totally ruin somebody's big plans that they've already had, and they have this big region, and you're just like plop down a different color and break up the whole region and destroy everything that they worked on. So there can be a little bit of like harsh feelings at the end if you don't know how to like take it, or if you're playing for the first time and you're just like not expecting it. But so that's also one reason why I like this game, because you always have a hand of 4 cards and you're basically looking at all of the horrible choices that you could possibly make. Like this card doesn't work, this card doesn't work, and so you have to make the best of a bad situation almost every turn. So and I love that. So drafting and tableau building and city building with all the tiles and
Yeah, I don't know when the reprint's coming, but I know it's coming soon. I know that they're revealing covers for it and stuff, so we'll have to wait and see.
Hopefully soon.
All right, before I do my number one, I should mention I would put on Foundations of Rome, but it's not out yet. Really like that game. Yeah. And for some reason, Mike talked to me about this before we went on air, and it's too late for us to change anything, Roy said, and Roy's right. I would have put High Rise on my list, and I can't believe that one missed my thing. It would have been fairly high, like number 3. High Rise from Gil Hove is fantastic, and you are literally building these giant skyscrapers, district areas.
Okay.
I forgot, but it would have been on the list. All right, my number 1, which Z knows already, and it was already on Steph's list, is Suburbia. To me, it still is the city building game. And what I like about it is I'm building my own. You could say city, but it's really your own neighborhood because you're all in the same city. And I like how things affect each other. If I build a fast food restaurant, that affects your fancy restaurant you built and yours. If we both build airports, that helps both of us. Yes. And that, I like the mechanism. I've always liked that mechanism of buy something expensive or just buy the cheap one at the beginning. And I've always liked how that worked. This game does a good job. And the first expansion is really good. Adds these big giant tiles. You can add a military base, amusement park. The second expansion is okay, but the first one I really like. And of course, you can also go out and hunt down one of those crazy copies that has everything in it. But I don't know that I would actually recommend that unless this is like a lifestyle game for you.
Yeah.
But like they printed some that had everything in it already. Is that what you mean?
No, to the deluxe, right? The super.
Yeah, that big deluxe one has everything in it.
There's more than 2 expansions for this?
There are promos and stuff.
There's promos, and also they did that insane thing where they have like 25 player colors.
Oh yeah.
That's right.
Which no game ever really needs to do. If you come to me like, I must play fuchsia,
Okay.
you don't. Just play a color that's close to it.
But it looks like you can get it for around $100, $105.
That's what the
That's
Kickstarter was, I think.
Yeah, that's the middle one. That's not the big. There's no. I'm serious. There's a deluxe, and then there's the super deluxe. You could get one with just 5 colors.
It's called the collector's edition. There's something above that.
Oh my goodness.
I thought there
Whatever.
was.
I thought that was no. I think the $100 was what the Kickstarter was going for.
All right. Oh my goodness. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of game for sure, and it's a proven game. I've never played it. Don't really have any interest, but it is a proven game.
I'll bring the deluxe one. The big problem with the deluxe one is when you're done, putting it all back in that box is a task.
Oh my goodness.
But okay. Anyway, I really do like Suburbia a lot. So, alrighty. Well, those are our 10 city games. Before we jump off, folks, are there any city games we should have mentioned that you think we should have put down here? Someone said no one mentioned Between Two Cities.
Never played it.
It's okay.
I like it fine. I don't necessarily want to work with the people next to me. I want to build my own city.
Right.
Tiny Towns.
Tiny Towns. What's that one? I don't know that one.
Yeah, you do. It's AEG. It's
That's the bingo one. It doesn't really feel like a city.
Was it the one with the animals?
Yeah.
I actually haven't played that game. It's one of the ones that I missed.
Those animals. Are there
I like it a
animals?
lot, but I would call that a bingo-esque game. The
Bingo
part of it,
town.
it doesn't, I guess you are building a town, but it just doesn't feel like it at all. It's more of a spatial puzzle.
Yeah.
What about Villages of Valeria?
There's no spatial element there. So it wouldn't really fall in my line. So yeah, I saw, what about, nobody said the Keyflower. Most of the key games I think could qualify as city building.
Actually, I think Cathedral's even a city building game. There's a lot.
I think a lot of
games.
Yeah.
Richard Brees must have wanted to be a
super
city
out of
builder.
print, though. Cathedral's the one they've yet to bring back. It's super out of print, right?
Yeah, well, actually, most of his games are out of print. It's only his newest one. Like even Keyflower, he did it again, but with London and made versions of it.
Okay.
So people are saying things like Castle of Mackin Ludwig or
that's not a city. It's a castle.
Not, so right, and then Castles of Burgundy. So those are what are they categorized as territory building games? So.
Oh, I would have just called them castle building games. I think you could actually make a top 10 castle building games.
Yeah, they're probably
pretty sure.
They're gonna be.
I'll call it Please the King, because it's always about making the king happy that you're making.
That's a good list. Top 10 please the royalty games.
I like
That's
it.
a good one. Like please some rich family or some king or some monarch. I think it's a great list, Tom. That's happening. It'll be like the Eurogamer's dream to listen to that.
Yeah, oh man, there's a lot of these out there. Machikoro, My City, Discworld. Do you build a city in Discworld Ankh-Morpork?
I didn't play it.
I don't think you do.
I only out of our 30 games that we mentioned, or well, some of them are overlaps, but I only didn't play Deadwood and Glenmore too. So that's not bad.
That is pretty good.
That's on my list, Tom.
Mega City Oceania is a good one. That's the one where you build it and then push it into the middle.
It's like a dexterity game, right?
Well, it's still a city building game.
It is? Okay.
All right. Well, that's that. Thank you, Steph. We'll put a link to her calendar Kickstarter in the description of the video. We'll look forward to seeing that in the future. And you can find her blogs and stuff on Board Game Geek, right?
Yeah, all the meeples of the rainbow. I review all the games, and I most importantly have beautiful pictures.
Yeah, you'll read one of her session reports, and you'll think, I haven't played that many games. this year.
I know, right?
And that's what she played last night.
And took pictures throughout the whole thing. Took pauses to take pictures. Yeah.
Exactly.
I find myself playing 6 games, and then when I'm done, I'm like, oh, I forgot to pull out my phone.
Yeah. What did I play?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that's it, folks. If you're watching us later on and have some good city comments, mention them. City games, mention them in the comments. But until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia. Bye.
That's so much.
Have fun gaming.